So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me this virtual platform. I would much rather be with you at Celtic Manor than sitting in a basement studio in Brussels, but diaries do that to people. At the same time, it makes me feel quite at home with you that I've met the Minister and Sir Terry Matthews and David Cleverly and people as I zigzag across Wales and Cambridge and bits of Europe in recent weeks and months. And the fact we meet is no coincidence, because Digital Europe is my brief in Brussels and Digital Wales is what brings you together today. So I'm extremely glad that I've got at least this opportunity to say a few words. When I think of Wales, I think of the longest walk I ever took as a small boy, which was out of the back door of my grandmother's house and up to the top of the hill, which wasn't a very big hill. And from there you could look down on a big steelworks. In the valley where my grandmother lived, we didn't think much of Ebbw but if you go now to Ebbw and you visit the works, there's nothing there. Or rather, the future is there, because the steelworks that I used to look at as a kid has disappeared, and there is an exciting new living lab with high-speed broadband, testing stuff like e-health at its hospital antenna, linking up to Newport with super-fast Cymru. And that, for me, is the biggest, best example I know in Europe of real-world transformation. You take a brownfield site, you add ingenuity. What we're now waiting for is talent. And as I understand it, this conference, like the Commission in Brussels, we see that Europe has plenty of talent, but it needs more help, more upskilling, so that the coming generations can make the most of superb platforms like that one up the valley in order to build more growth, more jobs, and a better future for our regions, our countries, and our continent. Let me start then with that question: digital inclusion and skills. We've just come out of a traumatic European election period across the whole of Europe. Parties which the polite journalists term populist have been gaining votes everywhere, because the institution I work for and the politicians who drive Europe have not earned the trust of 500 million citizens. That is a call for us to abandon our complacency. In the digital space, you could forgive the average citizen for feeling that the establishment does nothing for them. 20, 30, 40% of people in the European Union, it varies depending on which country you live in, but between 20 and 40% do not use the internet, do not get online, have no sense that these new tools are for them and not just for the bourgeoisie, do not use them in their shops and factories, and do not use them to improve their own lives. This is the basic level of digital literacy. Literacy in digital matters as the fourth R, as they say in Singapore. So it's a must-have. We need to retrain teachers, we need to get kids coding from an early age, and we need to work very, very hard with potential employers in real country towns and cities to understand what the skills gap is and to fill it. That is an area on which this European Commission, President Barroso, my own boss Nelly Cruz, launched a big campaign at the World Economic Forum in Davos this winter, and we're growing as we go. And in October, we hope tens of millions of kids will, during the coding week in Europe, be learning to code, getting their hands on a computer. This is a crucial first skill. Beyond that, with the help of those in this audience, we need the computer sciences to become a sexy subject in secondary schools for girls as well as boys, which is not the case today. We need all the universities in the country to have foundation courses on computer science, which are the most heavily subscribed every year, which is in the case of some East Coast American universities the new normal, but is pretty unusual here. And we need the people who know how to do this stuff, whether they work in factories, in research labs, in universities, to be getting out regularly and evangelizing for the speedier digitization of our world. This is not rocket science. The Boy Scouts in Poland are doing it for grandmothers in villages, and the public library next door is giving the newly trained grandmother access to the PC. The old people's homes in Norway, the apprentice clubs in Valletta and in Malta. These are the places where other countries are picking up the digital challenge and getting everybody online. So the inclusion of the missing 20-30% is the crucial ground for all the work we need to do on skills, but it starts there and it goes right up to cutting-edge doctoral science. Secondly, we need to get these new digital generations thinking not just about skills but about entrepreneurship. When I was a kid, and I grew up actually not in Wales but in England, entrepreneurship was not much on the agenda. When I left a reasonably good British university, it was not much on the agenda. It's got to be on the agenda. I think this is promising. I think the younger generation, including in my own family, including elsewhere in Europe, if they could get access to the means, they have ideas they would like to offer to the rest of society. And that's what entrepreneurship is. But we don't really teach entrepreneurship in parallel with the hard skills, and we don't teach business startup savvy around all of our universities yet. We don't accelerate. We don't give access to venture capital. I'm very comfortable saying these challenging things to this audience because in your hosts at Celtic Manor you have some really cutting edge entrepreneurs in the field of startup training, and I think that if we had that sort of toolbox across Europe, we'd be doing a lot better. Building from the top down, you can't do that. You can't legislate for this in Brussels. But what we are doing, and this is an open invitation to you in the audience, we have a Startup Entrepreneurs Club. We have a Startup Europe Manifesto. We have a network of accelerators. So we're trying, these are, when I say we have, this is entrepreneur language, we are building. And we would like to get new recruits from a day like this saying, yes, I want to join that network and help learn across the European space. This is not about being told what to do by Brussels. This is about European citizens doing it for themselves at scale across borders. And finally, let me say that research and innovation and public funding for research will continue to play, I hope, a crucial part in making this transformation possible for Europe. We have the so-called Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme, very well funded at 80 billion euros for part grant aid to researchers everywhere. It is going closer to SMEs and closer to the market than any research programme in Europe in the last 50 years, and it's just getting underway now. So if you haven't thought about that, that's worth looking at. And similarly, the other part of European funding which went up and not down in these very difficult times last year was funding for student exchanges, the Erasmus programme. So there's a great opportunity not just to build your research capacity in companies and at universities, but to get your students thinking across borders, travelling across borders, as well as doing their homework at home. Those are just a couple of examples how Europe brings some tools for a local industrial strategy. Specifically in Newport and around, I think that the future for microelectronics, for the fabrication of chips, for the design of embedded intelligence, which will be needed in everything from your washing machine to your car to your glasses in the years ahead. This can be an area in Wales where Wales leads the world and is one of half a dozen nodes in the European network. We're working on that with the entrepreneurs and with the government in Wales, and I only hope that in the months and years ahead, as you come back to Digital Wales year after year, we will have a better and better story to tell you on that count. So there you are. Brussels has some money to share with good projects across Europe, including in Wales. We have good examples from Wales that we share with others in Europe, and we have challenges together that we need to fix. So I know that your agenda is around those issues, and I will be looking forward to hear what the lessons of your day will be. Thank you very much.